Welcome, everybody, to uh, our first recap show of the season, following the Sixers starting the season 4-0 after a comeback victory in Washington last night. I'm joined by Liberty Ballers editor in chief, Paul Hudrick. Paul, how are you doing so far this season?
Well, this season, I'm doing a hell of a lot better than last year, I can tell you that much. It's good for business. It makes it a little bit easier to wake up every day and do the job when the team is fun and exciting and things are going well. So, yeah, I imagine a lot of fans are feeling the same exact way. It's a lot more fun when the team gives you something to be excited about.
Yeah, well, why don't we start off with perhaps the most exciting game that the Sixers have played this year, coming back from a 19-point deficit, I believe it was, against the Wizards last night. What were your takeaways from that game specifically? Anywhere you want to start? And what are your thoughts on the game?
Well, I think we had to start with a Dembona because I just think he when he entered the game in the fourth quarter, I think that's it was certainly teetering that way. It was starting to go in the Sixers' favor, but then I think once they put Bona in and just his impact protecting the rim, because the Wizards were just going right at the rim. They were just going basically driving kick all game long, aggressive downhill and then hunting threes, and they were finding them. Look, I have to say this too. Like it was pretty impressive. Like the young Wizards actually were pretty impressive for stretches of this game. You can see why those folks are kind of excited about what they have going on. I thought their veterans were the ones that killed them. Middleton and McCollum really struggled. I think they were both like 4 of 11, 4 of 12, something like that. So I mean, and then Middleton really didn't get a great last look in regulation. McCollum got blocked twice by Bona. So yeah, I think that's where it starts with Bona, and it's the usage is interesting. It feels like to me, Nick Nurse is kind of doing he's pushing him a little bit. I that's what I feel because it's happened throughout the course of the first 4 games where we just kind of haven't seen Bona for a stretch. He'll play for a few minutes and then we just won't see him. And to be frank, those minutes aren't necessarily super impactful. So I get it from that standpoint. I think Nick Nurse is really challenging him, and I'm okay. I'm good with it because like a bonus is the type of guy you can challenge because he's got a good mindset on him. He works really hard. He's not going to take it personal. He wants to be great. He wants to be better. So I think it's a good strategy for Nick Nurse. I thought maybe he could have gotten him in a little bit sooner. I think maybe he rode Andre Drummond a little bit too long during that one stretch. But it was clear that the message got through to Adem, and he was just unbelievable to close that game. 5 blocks, and it's not even it's 5 blocks, but the impact, just you can see guys are suddenly they're looking, they're hearing footsteps, and like I think that's huge. So I think that's where we start. Just a, and then I think in general whether you're talking about a Dem or you're talking about a guy like Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes was not good through 3 quarters of this game. He just wasn't. Similar to the Boston game where he wasn't very good through 3 quarters. But in the fourth quarter, Quentin Grimes was spectacular. Both ends of the floor, two-way, and again, same thing in Boston. Just hit big shots, came up with big stops defensively, played hard. He is establishing himself as like a closing, winning basketball player. And that lineup, I mean, it's those 4 guys have been the drivers. It's Maxi, Edgecombe, Grimes, or Maxi, Grimes, Edgecombe. Yes, I was right. And then Oubre. Those 4 guys, and then whoever is at center. Those 4 guys have really led the way, and it's been the Sixers' most effective lineup. So yeah, and then I guess the last thing I would say, the last big takeaway is, man, Tyrese Maxey just it's he was clearly tired. Second game of a back to back. He's played like a million minutes through the first 4 games. So like it was understandable. Like, okay, like maybe he just, he got off to a hot start. He kind of tailed off and he missed a three. I think he airballed a three at one point. Came up short on a floater. Like it was just like, okay, it just might not be his night. And it would be fine. Like it would have been an acceptable outcome if like he struggled through the fourth. They didn't make the comeback. You would still feel pretty good about Maxi and where he is. But for him to find that little bit of extra gas and oomph to deliver in the fourth quarter, to deliver in the overtime, hit some big shots, and that reverse layup finish in overtime was insane. I have no idea how he made that. So just it's Maxi being so good, so talented, but then also just so determined and just having this mindset. And it's clear that as a leader of this team, it is definitely rubbing off on everyone else.
Yeah, and we are seeing perhaps Nick Nurse trust the younger guys a lot more. Obviously, Adembona is not fouling like he was necessarily last year in those same stretches. Last game stretch was game changing, and especially I think it's more evident now that Joel on the defensive end is a little lackluster, at least to start the season. You can see his jump is not there at all, really, and on the offensive end, he has been able to come up to speed, but defensively, Adembona being able to kind of grow into that rim protector, 5 blocks is pretty ridiculous. Um, I I that would just do wonders moving forward, and it would put a little bit less pressure on Joel. And when it comes to Grimes, I'm curious what you think on necessarily if it will be sustainable once Paul George comes back and McCain comes back to be able to play all of these guards and Oubre, who is a smaller forward, at the same time and get away with it throughout the season. I mean, they have been so far. So
I don't see why it should be an issue. Maxi and Edgecombe are playing way too much. I mean, just put that out there right now, and they're playing over 40 minutes a game. That is unsustainable.
yeah.
Like that's going to wear those guys down. And if there was a knock on Nick Nurse coming from Toronto, it's that he does have a tendency to do this, where he overplays star guys and overplays his trusted players. But I do think when McCain is back and integrated, when Paul George is back and integrated, Nick Nurse will feel comfortable saying, "Okay, Jared, like, you can play 25 to 30 minutes, and then Tyrese can scale it back. VJ can scale it back as those guys get more integrated." I would say too, like a lot of people worried too many guards. Well, like I just said, their best lineup has been their three guards. It's been when Maxi, Edgecombe, and Grimes have played together. That's when they've been at their best. That's the lineup that has come back in all these fourth quarters when those three guys are on the court. And most often in those cases, Kelly Oubre is playing the four. In the last two games, Kelly Oubre has double doubles. He's gotten over 10 plus rebounds in each of the last two games. So I think yeah, Oubre's a little, and he also guarded Paulo Banchero against the Magic and did like a decent job, like not a great job, but a decent job for a guy he's given some size and a lot of weight to. Held up okay. So when I look at like the totality of like the NBA and how many power forwards are there, like true power forwards? Like yeah, there's two prominent ones in the East when you think of Giannis, and then when you think of Evan Mobley, those two guys Oubre is going to have a tough time guarding those guys. But at the same time, I think like 90% of the NBA has a tough time guarding those two guys. So like I I think there are going to be plenty of nights where if Kelly Oubre continues to rebound at this level, you will be fine. You will be able to get away with it. And then, you're also going to have Paul George playing the four. And Paul George is going to have to rebound too. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like if Paul George, if that's the goal for Nick Nurse, and he said it is, and Paul George has said, I'm comfortable playing the four. That's what I like. I'm good doing it. He's gonna have to rebound. He's gonna have to rebound at a high level. So, uh, while I am curious to see how it all shakes out, I think these are caviar problems. Like, oh, we have to figure out how to put these good players back into a team that's 4-0. Like that seems like a fantastic problem that I think Nick Nurse will sign up for, especially when you consider what he was dealing with last year.
Absolutely, and I think it is also a testament to, and I am hesitant, but the ownership and Daryl Morey for keeping Nick Nurse after last year, and Daryl, really, because you could have. I mean, I think they could have made a decision. I know there were a segment of the fan base that was like totally fine if they wanted to move on from Nurse, but I kind of feel like this was the right choice. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, but like you're looking at it like being able to pick the right guy at 3, not overthinking it, and being able to bring back guys and bring in guys that will fit the young core. I do think there is some credit that is deserved to those 2 as well.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah,
when it
no,
comes
uh, you know, what you have to give credit to Daryl Morey for, and this is like a Howie Roseman thing, is when you make a mistake, don't compound it, right? Like,
Yeah,
don't make it worse. So, like, the wrong thing, like the Paul George signing is not looking good. But we can all say that pretty plainly. So the wrong move would have been for Daryl Morey to say, I don't know though. We need to double down. Like we like if this is what Paul George looks like, this is what Joe. We need to go all in because we need to try to get whatever we can out of these guys." And he's like, "No."
yeah,
Daryl Morey said, "No, we're not going to do that. We're going to look at the trends of their NBA. We're going to look at the two teams that made the finals, which is a very smart decision, and say what do they do well, and why are they here?" And they looked, Daryl Morey looked at those teams and said, okay, those teams have a lot of depth, they have a lot of athleticism, and they have a lot of young, hungry players. So starting at the deadline with the Caleb Martin trade for Quentin Grimes, which whew, that's looking like a pretty good move.
yeah,
So starting there and then in the offseason, like just the two-way guys, both of those signings I think are gonna prove to be pretty solid. I think they are already kind of proving to be pretty solid. So yeah, I think Daryl Morey again. I think the reflection point, and again, that's just something Howie Roseman's really good at. Don't fall into like the sunken cost fallacy. Like just i- figure out where you go from here. Don't look back. Figure out the way forward. And I think that's what they did. As far as Nurse, yeah, I kind of thought it was ridiculous that you would fire a coach under the circumstances that Nick Nurse had to coach under last year. Like that would have been insane to me. Not to say Nick Nurse was perfect or he did this fantastic job, but like who could have done a good job with
yeah.
that last year? And that was horrible. I like watching it from the outside was miserable. I can only imagine what it must have been like to try to coach that team last year, try to put together lineups and all that with the roster he had. So I was thoroughly on board with Nick Nurse getting at least one more season to see what he could do. And look, thus far, I think he's pushed for the most part pushed the right buttons so far. I think a lot of people groaned when they saw Andre Drummond come in against the Hornets, but guess what? They don't win that game without Andre Drummond in the second half. Justin Edwards, I was not anticipating Justin Edwards to get a look in that game. Justin Edwards helped them win that game. So, like,
Mhm.
I think thus far it's only 4 games, and certainly again hasn't been perfect. But I think he again pushing the right buttons so far, and I think he's definitely earned the right to at least coach this season just to see what he can do with a healthier roster.
Yeah, and I think he has done a good job of coaching or at least pushing the right buttons with Tyrese Maxey. As we've seen the first 4 games, he is tearing it up, one of the highest scoring margins. I don't know the number off the top of my head if you do, but, the per game, scoring is out of this world. His shot creation is out of this world. His confidence is on another level, which we kind of weren't even sure it could get to, and it has. Um, During the roundtable that, Josh, enacted for us at Liberty Ballers and put forth, asked us a bunch of questions before the season, and one of them was what the biggest surprise was, or we thought it was going to be heading into the season, what the biggest surprise would be. And I genuinely thought it was going to be Tyrese Maxey would make another All Star team and make All NBA, or at least be in the discussions. And I never thought it would be this like snap of a finger. I mean, he is really taking it under his wing to lead this team in a lot of ways. What have you seen from him, and what has really stood out to you?
First of all, Drew, I'm old enough to remember when the Desmond Bain trade happened to Orlando, and a bunch of people were like, "Oh man, if they could, if the Memphis could get this for Desmond Bain, what could the Sixers get for Tyrese Maxey?" And I said, "What? Like, what are
Yeah.
we talking about here? Why on earth would you trade Tyrese Maxey right now?" And yeah, you're seeing why it was the most insane conversation to even have. A few things. He had a down year overall last year. He would tell you that. Like that's just the reality. That's what happened. He had a down year. There was a stretch, it was roughly like 25-ish games where he played at an all NBA level in the middle of the season without Joel Embiid, with Paul George here and there. he was playing at an all NBA level. Like we're talking over 30 points a game, close to 10 assists, true shooting over 60, like sensational. And everyone kind of forgot about it because the season was such a disaster overall. The shot regressed a little bit. I think that has had as much to do with injuries and the supporting cast than anything, than a statement on how his shooting was going to be over the years. Like he's a great shooter. That didn't go away last year. It was circumstances that led him to have a poor shooting season. So I was so unbelievably and then not even including the fact that this kid works harder than any player I've ever seen. Is more determined than any player I've ever seen, and and he wants to win more than any player I've ever been around. Like that's the thing. I think people see the smile, and he's so when he I fewer players take losses harder than Tyrese Maxey. So last year he was miserable last season. Tyrese Maxey miserable. Like that's a crazy sentence to say, but it's true. And Kelly Oubre alluded to it the other night. Maxey is playing with a chip on his shoulder. I knew he was going to come into the season. He was going to be hungry. He was going to add more to his game. And I think you've seen that. He looks so confident. He looks like making quick decisions, playing on ball, off ball, and just like there's just a level to when you watch him, you just see it. Like he is a step ahead of everybody out there. And there's just it's a rare it is a star trait for a guy to be like that, to just to have the talent to be able to do these things. And Maxi has, elite speed, elite shooting, all that. His
Mhm.
handle's gotten much better, but you just see him thinking the game and he's just a step ahead of all the other guys on the court. And that to me, like that's a sign of a guy who is ascending into possibly like superstar category.
Yeah, and I remember him talking last year about uh, getting the defense's sole attention night in and night out, and what that did for him, the challenge it brought at first, and then, like you said, for him to be able to kind of put it together for an All NBA stretch last year that obviously I forgot about too, but the ability for him to use that as the chip on his shoulder of like, "Damn, y'all got me last year a little bit. Like, let me show you what happens once I have all my horses and it's my team." And I think we're seeing it, and it's really special. I think it's kind of like the best guard play we've seen maybe since AI. It's pretty ridiculous if this can continue for a long stretch. But moving on to the other backcourt mate with Tyrese Maxey, Sixers rookie VJ Edgecombe with one of the best debuts we've ever seen in NBA history, at least this century, um, against Boston. And at least last game looked like maybe his legs were getting a little bit tired, which is totally reasonable. First back to back of his career.
Life,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I probably would be tired too, but yeah, I mean, to go into overtime and continue to make plays and play smart, I think for me is the biggest thing is you do not see an inch, an ounce of that rookie almost panic or speeding it up or like not sound clock in their head to manage the offense or make the right play. This kid is making the right play almost every single time he touches the ball. What have you been seeing from VJ? Is there anything that has been like shocking to you since he started the season?
Shocking might be strong, but I'm I knew he was gonna be good. I loved the pick when they made it. I thought he was the right pick. I did not anticipate he would be this good this soon. And it's just because I think I, I knew he was gonna find a way to help the team win because well, you saw it at Baylor. Like even when he wasn't scoring, he impacts the game defensively, on the glass, in transition, just little things. He'll dive for a loose ball. He gets in the passing lanes. He makes timely cuts. Like he's as a 20-year-old sees the game at a level that I don't know if any other 20-year-old sees it. Like it's so impressive, and it's just the little winning plays. There was the one play that I keep thinking about was, against Orlando, and I know everyone loves that block, and it was man, that was really impressive, the block on Bancaro that led to the Maxey, break the other way. But
Mhm.
there was a play during the Orlando game, I can't remember if it was the 3rd or 4th quarter, it might have been the 4th quarter, where they come up with a steal. Grimes is dribbling back up the court on the break. He stumbles, loses the ball. Edgecombe doesn't even flinch, picks the ball up, looks up, and sees Andre Drummond at the rim and immediately floats a perfect pass right to the rim, right to Andre Drummond. Like for a rookie to just have no panic at all, to just say, like, oh, well, here's the ball. I got it. Oh, there's the there. Like it to have that sense and that confidence that you know, like you can do that. Like that's next level stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's a little play, and it's just it's an assist in the box score, nothing fancy, but man, and he just does stuff like that repeatedly all game long. To your point, yeah, like the Washington game, not his best game of the first four, certainly excusable. They don't play back to backs in college, so the first back to back he's played, it's a different beast on the road too. And I would say this too, Drew. I think there's something to be said for knowing when it's not your night and maybe knowing when you don't have it
Mhm.
and letting the other guys cook. Because early on, let's be real, like the offense wasn't the issue early for the Sixers. They scored plenty of points between
No.
Embiid and Maxey. They were cooking, like they scored a ton. So I think there is something to like Edgecombe maybe if he maybe wasn't feeling it and he took a step back or whatever. I mean, again, there's like a feel to the game. Like now uh, the converse point to that is, and I think it's fair, is like, yeah, you want him to be aggressive throughout, no matter who he's playing with. But I do think there is something to a guy who has that feel, who knows, like, all right, these guys are cooking. I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna have my hands ready to hit a shot. I'm gonna be ready to make a good cut, and I'm gonna play good defense, and I'm gonna let these guys do what they do. So yeah, I'm just so ridiculously impressed through 4 games. I think he's been everything that we thought he was gonna be and then some. And yeah, I'm there's gonna be some lumps like there was on Tuesday, and he's gonna but I think what's promising is, like you said, like in overtime, he was still there. He was still standing. He was still playing defense. He was still where he was supposed to be. He wasn't making any mistakes, which is still critical. And even through the first 4 games, I think he's made a handful of mistakes. That's which is
Yeah.
insane for a rookie, 20 years old, starting on playing 40 minutes a night to make like maybe a handful of mistakes through 4 games. It's super impressive.
Yeah, and I feel like it comes down to even stuff that he probably didn't even see in college too. I mean, I'm looking at, like you're saying, the tiny things of when the defense is in rotation and maybe he has like a semi-open look at first, and I feel like another rookie may possibly, and we've seen, like, hesitate or not immediately make the decision. Even professionals who have been in the league, we've seen not be able to make that decision quickly enough. um I feel like he's making those quick decisions of, am I going to pump fake this and then drive? Am I going to just quickly swing it to the next open guy? Or am I going to take this shot? He's making that quicker than we've seen pros. So that was one thing that really stood out to me, is like, especially with no spacing at Baylor and in college in general, for him to be able to have that quick trigger, no matter the decision it's going to be, is insane to me. It's really insane. And it speaks to that next level kind of work ethic and understanding. I mean, and I don't want to go too much longer, but I remember before a couple games, like we would see footage of him either working on the 3-point shot to get more arc on, and we saw last game that ball was arcing like crazy, and it was going in, even if his legs weren't completely under him. Like, that's a veteran type of work ethic, when we saw that shot was pretty flat in summer league. So you see the work right in front of our eyes. Same thing with we saw him working on some floaters pregame one of the games, and now he's like trying it. Like,
Yeah.
there's no fear. And I think that's so refreshing for Sixers fans, obviously with the history of rookies that we have dealt with.
Yeah, and he takes the coaching, to your point. I think that's the big thing with like the floater things. I think Maxi said something, I think maybe after the home opener. Maybe it was after the preseason. I can't remember. I actually think it was the last preseason game. He said that he's been on VJ, like, on his finishing around the rim and, like, working on that touch, and they've been working on it, and, like, he's been trying to, because, like, let's be real, Maxi's unbelievable in that regard. That floater is killer, and, like, he can do so much stuff around the rim. So, Maxi at, whatever, 6'2" doing it. Um, Imagine 6'5" VJ Edgecombe who can jump out of the building doing that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it only is going to work in his favor. And like you said, you made an important point too with the spacing. I think that's been huge for him, and that's what excited a lot of people was when he was on the when he played for the Bahamas in the in the Eurobasket or whatever. What was it, Olympics? It was Olympic
Yeah,
qualifying.
yeah,
When he was playing for the Bahamas in Olympic qualifying, there's a lot of space there, and he really, and as an 18-year-old, looked like he belonged and was, like, making plays, and I think that probably excited people more than what they saw on tape at Baylor. And I do think too, Drew, in fairness, like, if you watched, like, his first few games versus the last few games, like, he was much better. Like, you saw the improvement happening at Baylor, and I think that's what's so
yeah,
exciting too, is, like, this is what he is now at 20 years old with 4 NBA games under his belt. I don't think he's going the other way. I think it's
no,
only going forward, and I think that's what's so exciting about him.
yeah, and, I feel like we gotta sometimes put the excitement cap on ourselves of just like,
Sure.
"Okay, it's only been 4 games. It's only been 3 games. Let's let this thing ride out a little bit." But
No, I disagree.
yeah,
I'm serious, I disagree. Have fun. Enjoy it. Like,
yeah,
go crazy. Believe
yeah,
tell yourself he's the next Michael Jordan. Who cares? Like, if
yeah, I
he's
feel like
not,
it
he just winds up being very good, okay, like, no harm, no foul. Like,
yeah,
I think sometimes, and I get it, we all have this, we don't wanna jump in with both our feet, and I get it, but, like,
it's
just
that
do it.
PTSD, man.
That's
I mean,
part
it
of being a fan. Like, have fun.
yeah,
This is fun. What's going on with this team isn't fun. So enjoy it now, while you can, because you never know what's gonna happen. So just enjoy it while it's here.
absolutely, and speaking of enjoying, things, there's nothing few things I enjoy more than the NBA Cup. The Sixers' first game for the NBA
Sorry
Cup,
for that, but okay.
will be aren't they play is it Boston? I don't even yeah, it's
Yeah.
Boston, right? So, like, it's the NBA Cup, their next game, they're starting the pool play. Do you have any thoughts about the court or what they unveiled for, the floor, the design? Any thoughts at all?
Nope.
Okay.
Um, I the only thing I would say is this, I think it could be a cool moment for this young team to try to win it. You know what I mean? Like, it would be cool. Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
would be a cool thing for them. Um, because they played so well. I mean, look at, Indiana. They like, a couple of years ago, they made it there. They made it to the cup final, and that kind of springboarded them, and it gave, so it just, I think for, like, a young, hungry team, it can be like a good motivating thing. It could add some excitement, some fun to the early regular season, as long as they don't overdo it. And Maxi's not playing 48 minutes to try to win an NBA Cup game. I'm in favor of it. But yeah, I'll be honest that I don't have strong feelings about it. With that said, if the Sixers do wind up being
yeah,
a part of it, it would be fun. It
yeah,
would. Again,
it
it's
would.
better than the alternative. Then again, um, not the worst thing in the world to maybe get, like, an extra week off this early in the season. Just gonna put that out there. But also they're playing well, so maybe you don't want that. You want to keep that momentum going. So it's kind of a balancing act on that one. So I guess that's what it is, Drew. You could talk yourself, if you're a Sixers fan, here's
Either
how you
way.
can talk yourself into it. If they're in the cup, hey,
Yeah,
this is fun. They're in the cup. This
yeah.
is a good bonding thing. They can really build some momentum. If they're out, hey, they get a week off, they get some rest, they can figure some stuff out. So you always win.
Yeah, I don't really love the floor, I will say it, but, I think there's just so many better ideas they could have gone with. I feel like I understand the thought process of every decision they made for that floor. But anyways, we'll move on. I feel like we hit a little bit of Joel Embiid on the floor, but do you have any thoughts on just the minute restriction or how Nick Nurse and the coaching staff or medical staff is going about this?
I'm glad. This seems like the most proactive approach they've taken with him in a long time.
Yeah.
Um, I know he's not thrilled about it, but I think that's a good thing that he's not, like, it is funny to me that some people made that a big deal. because, like, isn't this what you want out of Joel Embiid? Isn't this what the people always say? "Ah, he's lazy, he doesn't wanna play, blah, blah, blah." Well, now he's telling you, like, "No, I hate this. This minute restriction sucks. I wanna play."
Yeah.
Isn't that what you guys want out of him? So I get confused when people kinda misconstrue that, and, like, I didn't take it as because he made like a it was like Joel just says stuff. Like, let's call
Yeah,
that
I
like we
mean
see it too. And I like Joel. He just says stuff. I'll admit that he just says stuff. Because he had that line about like, "Oh, I might as well stay home with my family," or
yeah,
something like that. And people like ran with that. It's like, all right, shut up. Like he was clearly saying it like in jest. It was a funny thing. And I thought last night was the big one because he said, "If we keep winning, I do not
yeah,
care."
yeah,
And that's what it is. If they play well, and this allows him to get himself back into form by doing
yeah,
the minutes this way and rounding into shape this way so that he can be like if the team can stay afloat not even just stay afloat right now they're flourishing so if they can keep doing this while he's on this minutes restriction so that when he is ready to roll they're already in a good spot like who's gonna like there's zero complaints about that from my end as far as like how he looks I mean, offensively, I think he's fine. I think we're already there. I think he's kind of already got it back offensively. And what was crazy to me, Drew, what I loved, 2 possessions where Washington didn't double him. That just speaks to like, look what happens when other guys are doing stuff and can
yeah,
score. Like, he's gonna get him open shots, which he's never had open shots in his career.
yeah,
So I thought that was pretty funny. Now, look, it you alluded to it off the top. The defense is behind. He's a step slow. I am curious. I have nothing to back this up. I'm just curious if it's also intentional that maybe he's not going for as many blocks, not going for as many contests for obvious reasons. And again, if that's the case, I am very much on board with that decision. Because I even thought in the second half, even when they were down, um, I thought he defended better. He had a couple good contests at the rim, and I thought they played a little better defense during his last stint. Um, so yeah, I don't wanna over or underreact to anything that's going on with him, but I think they've handled it fine. I think he's handled it okay, uh, and I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait a while until I decide, "Hey, I think he's gonna be good and he's gonna help them," and, I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna be. I don't know what it's ultimately gonna look like. The guy didn't play basketball for 8 months.
yeah.
I don't think he's had any stretch of his career where he's been not playing basketball for that long. So it was gonna take time. I knew it was gonna take time. Any of you sickos betting on his numbers, you're an idiot. Like, what are you doing? Why would you do that to yourself? Uh, so yeah, I just, again on board with what they're doing. We'll see how it looks as the minutes kind of ramp up and as the team gets healthier and healthier.
Yeah, well, I think that's very well said. I think I'm in the same boat too. I mean, just including it for sakes like the Embiid quote also of, this is the first time he's had a team around him that has played well when he's on the bench. So, it's like all of it that I feel like that kind of pairs with that answer of, yeah, as long as we're winning. It's like, yeah, as long as we're winning because you're also happy you have guys that are able to play. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's trust.
if we go on a losing streak, then yeah, I and like he said it, I feel like he would maybe get a little bit more um uncomfortable and maybe be a little bit of a bigger pain in the ass to the coaching staff. But right now, I feel like the coaching staff is every right to be like, nah. And like when it comes to the offensive load, and like you said, of getting the no double teams, open shots, I feel like that's everything we've been wanting since the beginning of the year of, like, not having him be the focal point or, like, having his offense come backdoor instead of it being front door and everyone else coming backdoor. It's like it's reverse of what it's been, and I think that on top of the no expectations on him, it's just amazing to see. So I'm with you. I think even if it's, um like, him maybe even pulling the gear shift down a little bit on defense too. I'm okay with that as long as we can see that gear turned up a little bit, at least, like, for a decent stretch here and there against a good team, like, I would like to see that, but right now, I'm not too worried. Is there any other Sixer that you would like to, touch on before, I get you out of here.
I think it's funny. So 2 guys that, I think a lot of the fan base is ready to ship out of here. One I understood, one I didn't understand. So I'll start with Drummond. I understood why people were ready to move on from Andre Drummond. I get it. But the guy's already looked better than he did last year
Yeah.
already. So credit to him. He clearly put in a lot of work on his body. He got his toe was really bothering him. It was a really really nasty toe injury last year. Um, and he clearly, he got that right. He lost weight. He looks good. I mean, he genuinely does. He looks good. He's Andre Drummond. He's got limitations. He is what he is, but like he has been the optimal version of Andre Drummond so far, crushing it on the glass. And just, and again, it's every guy who has come in, I feel like has made an impact in some way, which like the inverse of last year, right? Where it's like only like you're counting, you're like, ah, Gershon Yabusele looks good and everyone else sucks. Like it's the inverse of that this year. Like everybody who has taken the floor has done even Eric Gordon, who's like 100 years old, has been fine. Like when he's gotten minutes, when he's had to play, he's helped them. And then the other guy's Oubre. And look, I get that Kelly's a pretty polarizing player. I understand it. But he's got value, man. He's good. He's a good basketball player, like he is. He's 6'7". He's long as hell. He's really athletic. He plays very hard, and I think he to me at least seems more bought in this year. And I think he was pretty bought in the last 2 years, but I think he's more bought in this year than he's been. And I think you're seeing it. And his versatility provides so much. He's actually shooting the basketball pretty well, which that's a bonus, an enormous bonus to
Yeah.
see him shoot the ball this well. But like he gets downhill. And I thought too, Drew, like I talked about Maxey and how people kind of forgot about that stretch last year. People forget that like Kelly Oubre actually had a pretty good year last year too. And like he made meaningful adjustments to his game as far as like driving to the paint, coming to a jump stop, and then making decisions. And you see it this year. He's making better decisions with the basketball. He's getting more assists. He's finishing with the like a little tiny mid-range shot, which is very effective for him. He hits it very often, and he's got good touch around the rim. So like and again, as I touched on before, his rebounding's been enormous. Double-digit rebounds back-to-back games when they've really needed it. So uh, Oubre to me is a guy who, like I said, a lot of fans are really out on him, but I thought this is a guy who can help them, and I think he's been probably even better than I thought he would be.
think I'm with you there too, especially like we were talking about earlier, his ability to kind of hold his own at the four with the hole that they currently have. But I think that will just about do it for us. Make sure you guys check out libertyballers.com. Multiple articles going out every day. Uh, Today we have some by Josh Grebe, Brian Toporek. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you subscribe to Liberty Ballers on YouTube. Check out Paul Hudrick on Twitter. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you, Paul, for checking in.
You got your